Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm currently a freshman, originally from Sugar Land, Texas, living in Hallworthy Middle. I'm planning on concentrating in either applied math or statistics, and my interests include education in the visual and performing arts. So coming into Harvard, I didn't really have that many expectations for what college life would be like, and I thought that my childhood was pretty normal and pretty standard, and coming here I think I just had a much more eye-opening experience, just meeting people who came from such different backgrounds, and realizing that like my story was very different than a lot of other people's. And because of that, I think just through conversations and talking to people and understanding like what they think about on a daily basis and how they view themselves and their backgrounds and like where they came from, it made me a lot more introspective and just kind of reflecting on what I want out of college and how I want myself to be in the next 10, 20 years and really working towards that goal. And that's something that I really didn't do before coming here, and I'm really glad that Harvard's made me a much more reflective and introspective person who really actively tries to make myself the person I want to be. So my family, my parents are immigrants from China, and I have a younger sister, and we live in Sugar Land, Texas. And I think all of my childhood, I kind of just knew my intermediate family, and my grandparents and cousins were all in China, so I wasn't very connected to that side of my family, and I guess I had a very sheltered view of what my family was like and didn't really know much about the history about my family until before coming to college. My mom actually like sat me down and told me about like her story of immigration, and also just my grandparents' lives in China, and it was honestly very shocking for me to see how different my parents' childhood was, like how much they struggled to just even have food and how they had to walk like 3 miles to go to school. They didn't have a car, they didn't even have a bike either. And I think before coming here and just learning that story made me feel very grateful, but at the same time kind of confused about what I should be doing here, and that disparity between my childhood and my grandparents and my parents. I just didn't know what to do about that gap. So I think that story also is really inspirational for me, because I know that after I got into Harvard, my grandparents were so shocked, I guess, and just so happy. Like I don't think they could have ever imagined that their grandchild would be coming to a school, like the top school in America, when my grandma didn't even go to elementary school. So it made me just feel very happy that it could bring so much pride into my family, but it also made me want to work harder in school. So I think my fondest memory at Harvard was housing day, just because I feel like here at Harvard everyone's kind of always so busy running back and forth and just so into like what they're doing. It's really hard to have a time to just sit down with your friends and talk. And so before housing day, my blockmates and I slept over, so we had like really great conversation that night, and it just felt really good to be able to just like sit down and not have to worry so much about school and like midterms coming up, and really just like share our stories and check up on each other. So I think that's one of my fondest memories at Harvard. So I think one of my biggest worries coming into Harvard was just feeling insecure about like my capabilities, especially like academically. And I remember coming here hearing about like comping all these clubs, and I was really confused about like, oh, I applied to get into Harvard, but now I have to apply for clubs again. And I applied to like a bunch of clubs, and I got rejected from a lot of them. And I think during that time I started to feel like really insecure, like, oh, I don't know if I am good enough to be here. Like I don't understand why I'm not getting into these clubs I really want to be in. So I think that was one of the first times I felt insecure at Harvard. And I think now I'm trying to be able to overcome that insecurity and realize that these things don't really define who you are. And now I want to focus more on like personal development rather than like achievements and like getting into like prestigious clubs. I think that's something that has really been really eye-opening for me, and I'm almost glad I went through that to be able to realize that now. So fundamentally, I think I'm still the same person. I think I still carry like the same values that I had back at home, but I think Harvard has made me just think a lot more about my actions and my purpose in the world, I guess. So I think for sure Harvard has made me think a lot more about like what I want to do and what kind of friend I want to be to other people, and how I want my role at Harvard to be like. But I think as a person, Harvard hasn't really changed me that much. And I think talking to a lot of upperclassmen, they are like, oh, you're still a freshman, like the change is gonna come soon. But I'm hoping that that change is a good change, and I'm just able to learn a lot more about myself through the classes I take, the people I surround myself, and the clubs I'm in.